It was a quiet Saturday afternoon, the kind where the world seemed still, as if it was waiting for something to happen. I had just finished my lunch and was heading upstairs to grab my laptop. A little weekend work wouldn't hurt, or so I thought. My wife, Olivia, was out running errands as she usually did on weekends, and the house felt empty, too empty. I sat down at my desk, the chair creaking under my weight, and opened the computer. My mind was on something simple. I wanted to clear my browsing history. Nothing serious, just something I had searched for earlier that I didn't want cluttering my computer. I clicked on the History tab, and that's when I saw it, a search that wasn't mine. How to stop a husband from cheating. My stomach dropped. I blinked a few times, hoping I had misread it, but there it was, clear as day. The clock on the computer read 4:34 p.m. Olivia had searched for this today, only a few hours ago. I froze, my hand hovering over the mouse as my mind raced. Could she know? No, there was no way. I had been so careful, almost too careful. Not a single trace of my secret had ever been left out in the open. I was always diligent. My affair with Ellie had been going on for a few months now, but it was completely hidden. Ellie was someone you couldn't ignore. She was the new hire at the office, and she had this way about her. This energy that made everyone gravitate towards her. She was funny, smart, and, well, beautiful. I didn't plan for it to happen, but it did. Ellie was everything Olivia wasn't, and I had fallen for her charm. I never let it get too far, though. We never texted, no emails, no social media messages. We only talked when we were at work, and I made sure to delete any photos she sent me. There was no trail. How could Olivia know? I felt a chill crawl up my spine. Had I slipped up? I stared at the screen, my heart racing. My fingers drummed against the desk as I clicked out of the tab, telling myself I was overreacting. Olivia couldn't possibly know. Maybe she was just being cautious. Maybe she had seen something on TV about cheating, and it made her paranoid. Yeah, that had to be it. But then, just a few clicks later, I found another search. How much does divorce cost? This one was time-stamped just 3 minutes after the first search. It was like a punch to the gut. Divorce? Why would she be thinking about divorce? I sat back in my chair, sweat beading on my forehead. Was Olivia planning to leave me? What if she had found out about Ellie? No, I couldn't let my mind go there. Maybe it was something else. Maybe, oh no, what if she was the one cheating? My head swam with possibilities. Maybe she was projecting, accusing me of cheating because she was hiding something. I gripped the edge of the desk, trying to calm the storm brewing in my mind. I scrolled further, my eyes scanning for more clues. It was like a puzzle, one I desperately didn't want to solve. The next search appeared. Why do humans feel emotions? Now, this one threw me off completely. It didn't seem to fit. What was she trying to figure out? Was she trying to understand why she felt anger, betrayal? Or was she the one feeling guilty? Maybe Olivia was looking for answers, trying to understand why she felt the way she did about someone else. My heart thudded harder in my chest as I rubbed my temples. I couldn't shake the growing anxiety gnawing at me. My thoughts kept circling back to the possibility that she knew about Ellie. But how could she? I had made sure everything was locked tight, with no evidence for her to find. Suddenly, I felt a wet sensation on my upper lip. I reached up to touch my face, and when I pulled my hand away, there was blood. I was getting a nosebleed. I stared at my fingers, now smeared with bright red, and cursed under my breath. I didn't get nosebleeds, at least not since high school. I quickly got up and rushed to the bathroom, grabbing a tissue to stop the blood. My heart was still pounding as I looked at my reflection in the mirror. I looked pale, too pale. My head was pounding now, my thoughts spinning faster than ever. This wasn't right. After a few minutes, the bleeding stopped. I washed my face, drying it with a towel before heading back to the computer. I had to know more. The next search in the history made my skin crawl. What is excerebration? I had never heard of that word before. What was excerebration? I hesitated for a moment before clicking on the link. The page loaded, and instantly, I regretted it. The definition popped up, an ancient procedure involving removing the brain through the nose. I stared at the screen, horrified. Why would she search for something like this? Was it some kind of sick joke, a twisted way of coping with something? Before I could make sense of it, another search appeared, time-stamped minutes later. Can a person live without their hypothalamus? My blood turned cold. What was Olivia planning? I felt a wave of nausea rise in my throat. My mind was racing, grasping for answers, but nothing made sense. I looked around the room as if expecting someone to jump out and tell me it was all a prank. But there was no one, just me and the horrifying reality in front of me. The front door creaked open, snapping me out of my thoughts. "Jack, I'm home," Olivia's voice echoed through the house. My stomach flipped. I didn't move, I couldn't. Her footsteps grew louder as she approached, and I quickly shut the laptop, shoving it aside. I tried to steady my breathing, but my heart was pounding in my ears. I wiped my palms on my jeans, trying to act normal, but everything felt wrong. Olivia entered the room, a bright smile on her face. She looked at me, raising an eyebrow. "You okay?" she asked. I nodded, swallowing the lump in my throat. "Yeah, just tired." She sat down on the edge of the bed, still smiling, completely unaware of the chaos running through my mind. How could she be so calm? "Busy day?" I asked, trying to make conversation, but my voice sounded strained, even to me. She nodded, kicking off her shoes. "Just errands, you know. Grocery store, picked up a few things." She glanced at me again, frowning. "Are you sure you're all right? You look pale." I forced a smile. "Yeah, just a headache." She got up and walked toward me, placing a cool hand on my forehead. "You do feel a bit warm. Maybe you should rest." I flinched under her touch. Why did her concern feel so off? There was something dark lurking behind her eyes, and it sent a chill down my spine. She stood there, staring at me with a soft smile that didn't reach her eyes. I couldn't hold it in anymore. I had to ask, "Olivia, what's all this?" I gestured vaguely toward the laptop, trying to keep my voice steady. She blinked at me, confused. "What?" "The searches," I said, my voice cracking. "The divorce, the brain stuff. What were you looking for?" Her expression changed in an instant. The softness in her face disappeared, replaced with something unreadable. Her lips tightened, and her eyes narrowed as if trying to gauge how much I knew. Then, she laughed, a small, nervous laugh. "Oh, that," she said, waving a hand as if it was no big deal. "I was just curious, you know. We've been married for so long, and I started wondering about things." My heart skipped a beat. "Wondering about what?" She shrugged, still smiling. "About us. About our brains. How love works." The words hung in the air, thick and heavy. My skin prickled. This wasn't a normal conversation. Something was very wrong. I tried to stand, but my legs felt weak. I took a step toward her, the distance between us feeling like miles. "Olivia, what did you do?" Her smile faltered for a second before returning. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice laced with innocence. I clenched my fists, trying to push down the growing panic. "The excerebration, the hypothalamus, what were you looking for?" She tilted her head, eyes wide with mock innocence. "You said we could try it, Jack. You said you wanted to fix things." I stared at her, my mind spinning. "Fix what? What did I say?" Her face darkened, and she took a step closer to me, her voice dropping to a low, chilling tone. "You don't remember last night? You came home and told me everything about Ellie." My breath caught in my throat. I tried to speak, but no words came out. Olivia smiled, her eyes cold. "You said you loved her, that you couldn't stop thinking about her. But then, you told me you didn't want to love her. You said you wanted to fix it, to fix us." I shook my head, trying to remember, but the events from the night before were a blur. What are you talking about?" Her smile widened. "You said you found a way, Jack. You said if we removed the part of your brain responsible for love, you wouldn't feel anything for her anymore." My heart slammed against my ribs. No, that couldn't be true. I would never suggest something like that, would I? I took a step back, my head spinning. "Olivia, what did you do?" She looked at me, her eyes glinting with something I couldn't quite place. "We tried, Jack. You said it would work. You wanted to forget her, to stop feeling anything. So I helped you." I felt like I was going to be sick. My legs gave out, and I sank to the floor, my head pounding. This couldn't be real. I couldn't have agreed to something so insane. But then I remembered, the blood, the nosebleed, the strange numbness in my head, the memory lapses. My voice trembled. What did you do to me?" Olivia crouched down in front of me, her smile softening as she reached out to touch my face. I did what you asked, Jack. I helped you forget her. She hesitated, her smile fading slightly. I just think I might have hit the wrong part. I stared at her, my heart pounding in my chest. What do you mean? What part did you hit? Her eyes filled with tears, and her voice trembled. I think I hit your hippocampus instead. I blinked, my mind reeling. The hippocampus. I wasn't a doctor, but I knew enough to understand what that meant, my memory. The room spun around me as the full weight of her words sank in. She had removed part of my brain, the part that stored my memories. That's why I couldn't remember. That's why everything felt like a blur. My stomach twisted in knots as I stared at her, tears now streaming down her face. I'm sorry, she whispered. I thought it would work. I just wanted us to be happy again. I didn't know what to say. I couldn't even process what was happening. All I knew was that I was lost, trapped in a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Olivia? I choked, my voice barely a whisper. What have you done? She looked at me, her eyes filled with regret. Then she stood up, slowly backing away. We can fix this, she said, her voice shaky. I can fix this. I'll figure it out, I promise. But I knew, deep down, that there was no fixing this. What was done, and nothing would ever be the same again. The last thing I saw before everything went dark was the cold, determined look in her eyes as she reached for the phone. If this story left you speechless, subscribe for more stories that will leave you questioning everything. As the author of this story, the conclusion speaks to the irreversible consequences of our actions, especially when driven by desperation and fear. Jack's affair, rooted in a longing for something outside of his marriage, set off a chain reaction that spiraled into the unimaginable. Olivia, consumed by her own fear of losing him, took drastic measures, ultimately crossing a line that neither of them could return from. The story serves as a chilling reminder that sometimes, in our attempt to fix things, we end up causing more harm than healing. The final moments, where Jack realizes the magnitude of what Olivia has done, show that once trust is shattered, no amount of effort can truly restore the past. In the end, the desire to control emotions or erase mistakes led to a devastating reality, one where memories are lost, love is distorted, and both characters are left trapped in their own irreversible choices. This is a story about the dangers of losing oneself in the pursuit of perfection, control, or the impossible task of erasing the consequences of our choices. Both Jack and Olivia sought to escape their pain, but in doing so, they destroyed the very foundation of their lives, each other. Thank you very much for watching to the story so far. I suggest you to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss tomorrow's stories.